Today we are recognizing the UN celebration for persons with disabilities, which is and was on December the 3rd, although I believe that just about every day we should be recognizing this day. The theme this year is promoting the participation of persons with disabilities and their leadership, taking action on the 2030 Development Agenda.
At the Metro Hall, Toronto, the 4th Annual International Day of Persons with Disabilities was observed, where the disability organizations, employers and community gathered to discuss inclusion of persons with disabilities into the workforce.
We presented over the last 7 or 8 years over 350 workshops. What were the workshops about? They were about inclusivity. They were about understanding the AODA. They were about breaking down barriers.
Keynote speaker Gary Malkowski highlighted federal and provincial accessibility laws and employment statistics.
Statistics, however, for Canadians with disabilities in employment, the numbers I've used are from Canadian Stats. According to specifically the 2017 survey, 59% of Canadians with disabilities are employed.
At another event, well-known film critic Angelo Moreda advocates appropriate presentation of persons with disability in all mediums and the challenges faced by the disabled professionals seeking work in media.
I think the representation could be better, and I think part of the problem is that we need more people in all of those fields who are disabled themselves who are producing that media. So I think part of the problem is that in film, for example, there are films about disabled people, but often they're made by non-disabled people and they don't have an authentic connection to the disability community. And so I think one of the ways in which it needs to get better is we just need to see more disabled creatives. I think that's true of journalism as well. It's a very hard field to break through for anyone, right? But I think it's doubly so for disabled people. Networking is more difficult. Often there are financial and health issues involved that sort of keep people from pushing their way through. So I think, there need to be more of us and there need to be sort of more opportunities available, but I'm hopeful as well.
Aling Kwang, who works with individuals with disabilities to help them in skills training and shares her experience about media career seeking disabled individuals. Angelo Moreda discusses the idea of disabled persons wanting to work in the field of journalism.
We don't quite see a lot of individuals who are interested through. So we don't have individuals who are seeking media work at the moment, although we're certainly welcoming individuals who are. It's just, I think there's a heavy underrepresentation of these individuals in the media work. I do know one individual who's in the media and who has a disability, but that's pretty much it. So yeah, there's really not much that come to us. Not a lot of folks with disabilities that come to us who want to work for the media.
I think there can be, and I think part of the problem maybe is that there isn't a recognition that disabled people want to go into these fields, right? Or there isn't a recognition that disabled people can contribute to these fields. And so often training doesn't really consider the particular needs of different disabled people. And so media isn't accessible, for example. It's a huge barrier if you're a deaf journalist. Or spaces that you need to go to are not accessible, or there's travel involved that's not accessible. So I think absolutely that accessibility needs to be a major part of training regardless of the media field you find yourself in.
At another event held at CBC, the Inc.'s Celebration of Life Memorial, retired CBC News producer Michael D'Souza reflected on efforts Inc. took to make Canada's biggest public broadcaster's premises more accessible.
About the literal part about opening doors. As you came into this building, you noticed that we have massive glass doors. They were buggered full. They used to have a little red button that you would push to open. Unfortunately, that little automatic opener was inaccessible to a lot of people because you couldn't reach it. It was too high, too far away, sometimes not to form it. So one day in moving around, we noticed that the Ryerson building in the Rogers School of Communications had this kickstand outside, and you literally could run your wheelchair into it and the door would open. Inc. worked on getting those installed here. It took a couple of years to get it done, but as you're going out of the building, check them out. They make a big difference. And the other thing about her was also to protect the person behind you. So besides, maybe one of those people Inc. helped get into this building and make a great career. Thanks.
The conversation is now shifting from acknowledging the challenges faced by disabled community to taking action for equal representation and inclusion